Welcome back to Studio Chatter. There are so many rumors and false information floating around about COVID-19, so we knew that we needed to get good information. Welcome Susan Chapman, the city's wellness coordinator and a public health professional, to the Chatter. Welcome, Susan.
Hi, Susan. So, Natasha, you know Susan. We've had her on before. Angie.
I just met her.
Susan.
Lovely
Susan,
lady.
Angie.
I can't wait to hear. I know. Hello. I won't shake your hand, but hello.
Yeah, no handshaking.
No
So,
hugs.
Susan used to work for Utah County Health Department. And then you had 5 boys. You were at home with them for a little while. You had your master's degree in health, right? And the city snagged you in helping them write a grant, correct?
Yep.
And was that just, what, 3 years ago?
Yep, it's been almost 4 years now.
And what was the grant about?
It was an Active and Healthy grant through the League of Cities and Towns and Intermountain Healthcare, and it was for to make an active community. We happened to write mental health into it as well, because mental health is also a public health issue. And we ended up getting the grant over many cities and towns, which was awesome.
Yeah. I hope our viewers are watching. You post actively on Facebook under Spanish for Active and Healthy, right?
Yeah.
So we have a lot of fun events, and you're helping with suicide prevention in the city, offering last week once a month classes. That might be on hold for a little bit right now.
It is, yeah.
Maybe
But
we could do it or something.
Yeah.
We also do the support groups I run the support groups for those who have suffered loss. And those have been great, and those are also on hold, which I'm really sad about. But we'll resume as soon as this is over, so that we can get back to helping more people.
Well, thank you for coming in on such a short notice, but we felt like you really knew your stuff. We wanted someone here with that background and that wealth of knowledge to share, so locally our viewers can hear a little bit more. And so for this segment specifically, we thought of just talking about health, physical health, mental health.
And maybe you could give us just a little glimpse of what COVID-19 is. If you could just
and maybe
tell
how it
people
differs
just
from
abroad.
what might be a common cold or
viruses.
flu.
So COVID-19 is what's considered a novel virus. So it existed in animals before and made the jump to humans. If you don't know the background about it, it's really interesting, and that's why this situation is different, because usually with viruses we have some immunity. With the flu, we have antibodies in our bodies, we have immunity, we also have antivirals, and we also have vaccinations. And with COVID-19, we don't have any of that. We only have 2 tools, and those tools are mitigation, which is social distancing, and our healthcare. And actually our healthcare is very effective at treating people these days, but when it's overloaded, it's not so much. And so right now we're using the best tool that we have, which is social distancing. And we need to really hit it hard these next couple of weeks, because that's when it's most effective. So that's why we're doing this. And it can feel really scary, but when we look at it as a tool that we're using, it's not so scary. This is strategy. This is a game of strategy, a game of chess instead of an arm wrestle, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Speaking of strategy, on a lighter note, there's a game called Pandemic. You guys all should try it.
You're just showing us out. Okay,
I know, I'm going to pull it out. I brought it. But it's strategy, right? It's really
and that's what this
being
is
ahead
about.
of the curve.
And is there any major differences between a normal flu or a cold? Because I know we've had that going around a little bit too. Or are they very, very similar?
So in the symptoms, they're really similar. It is characterized by a high fever in youth and a lower grade fever in older adults. And the shortness of breath is kind of key as well. But we know that a lot of people have mild symptoms, especially the youth, so it makes it the perfect storm, because you have these little spreaders running around. And then you have people who, and what we do know is that it just really takes a turn for the worst in older individuals at some point. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with. But the majority of the population is at low risk, but we're taking precautions for those who are very valuable to us that also contribute a lot to the economy, and we're trying to protect those.
Thank
Well, let's talk about the little spreaders for just a minute. You know, I don't know what the age range is in your home, but I have a couple that are 9 and 6. So trying to educate them and tell them how important it is to wash your hands, and every time, or why can't we play with our friends, or why can't we do this, or you guys are so boring. What do you think is a great way to kind of talk to them about that?
So I think an honest conversation about it.
Okay.
But also not a gloom and doom conversation.
Right. Okay.
Now, just bringing back an example for my husband, he remembers tornadoes from his youth because he grew up in the Midwest. He remembers tornadoes from his youth as a happy time because they went down in the basement and they played board games and had snacks. Because his mom made it a really fun time for him, right?
What a good mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Post-traumatic.
And so,
he's like, I like tornadoes.
Well, I think we have the potential here to do the same thing for our kids. And that's kind of been what I've wanted to do. We explain what it is and how important it is, and we kind of let them in on what's going on. But we also stay in tune with the changes in their sleeping patterns and their eating patterns and the way they're acting out. And we get familiar with how they're reacting.
Okay.
And there's some really good websites. If you go on CDC's websites on how to protect yourself from COVID-19, there's also a mental health page on there, and you can look that up. And it talks about children dealing with the stress and the anxiety of it, and what to do and steps to take and what to watch for. And sometimes they can go back to bedwetting, things that they've been out of it, habits. I have a little guy that stopped sucking his thumb, and he's sucking his thumb again. And so we know that that's something that we need to watch for.
Okay.
But we can really make this a positive event as well. So we're getting our kids out once a day, making sure, at least, and we need to do it more because they can't socially interact as much anymore. But and then I've set up with the other moms in my neighborhood times to get online with the kids. So there's Zoom, the app Zoom.
That.
Yeah, they can get on Google Hangouts. There's Flipgrid, if you've ever been on that. There's different applications that they can get on, and they can just hang out. So you have to use strategy, but it's good for their mental health. We've been saying no social media, or not no social media, but limit social media. And now it's a time where they need to, but and my family, we haven't done social media before. And so we're trying to do it in a way that I feel like is still good for their mental health. Right. So
that's
it's
an
really
interesting take, because I just think as of adults, we're going to go stir crazy being at home. But think of those kids.
Yeah.
Especially
they're
teenagers.
used to being so structured, being at school, being with friends. After
School
school
activities.
and now we're limiting them
That's
to
the part that's hard
nothing.
for mom.
Well, and it's so important, and too, working with people with extreme grief and loss. Sometimes the most important thing that you need to do is eat and sleep and get back as close to normalcy as possible.
I had heard that before, even just about homeschool. So I've really kind of tried to take that to heart too. Let's stay in the routine, get up at the same time, have our breakfast. We're still getting in our clothes. We're still going to do our hair. We're still going to keep all the normal
hygiene.
Yes. And a shout out to the educators that have been right on top of things, getting those packets out, getting the virtual lessons ready, and
getting Chromebooks out to those people that don't have computers.
So
They're
great.
putting together gobs of those.
I will never take
elementary.
advantage of teachers again.
Never. I know today we remember how important that they
Exactly.
are. We're so
a shout out to our
grateful.
teachers. Thank you. Love you.
Absolutely.
And they did it
trying.
in such a short time. I mean, they could have been warmed over a whole summer, and it still probably wouldn't have gone much smoother than it is right now.
Yeah.
They've done it seamlessly.
And it could go on a little bit longer. So we just need to take it in stride, day at a time. But I think that normalcy, trying to find some sort of new normal, but keeping what they've had in the past.
Well, and for the adults, that have, that maybe have been forced into a situation where they can't go to an office to work now, and then they're forced to work at home, and then they have kids surrounding them, and then they don't have the mental release, and then you're looking at the numbers on the TV, and you're like, oh, it's tripled from yesterday, and how do we...
It is frightening for us as well. It is.
We need to work on that. We need to also do Google Hangouts and Zoom with our girlfriends or whatever.
Yeah.
We need to take walks. We need to exercise. Also, spouses being home for the first time, working together. That's also kind of a pressure. Yeah, well, let's acknowledge that's going to be tricky. And so we need to find, like we said, a new normal. We need to eat. We need to just take care of ourselves and recognize and talk. Don't tell somebody, don't worry about it. Listen, be compassionate. Instead of saying nothing's going to happen, just say, what do you think's going to happen? Because that's the best thing. Telling somebody with anxiety, oh, nothing's going to happen, don't worry, that heightens their anxiety. So being a
Okay.
compassionate listener and letting them just talk about it will reduce that anxiety.
Susan, would you have any suggestions on how much media to watch? And
Yes, how
depending
much
on the
you
age.
should
set,
educate
set
yourself.
your limits. Also, tune out a lot of the main media, news media. I mean, bless their hearts, they're doing a good job out there.
But that's not what kids should be watching.
Oh, for sure not
Or
kids.
as adults.
Yeah, but as adults, we should tune into the updates from the White House, from the Health Department, from the CDC. Right now, we kind of need a funnel, and we need to take breaks from it. Don't check it at night through the night. Don't check it first thing in the morning. Just give yourself some breaks.
Okay. Oh, good.
Wow.
Good tips.
I feel like
Great
we've just gotten on the
information.
crust.
Woo.
Like
Yeah.
there's still
That's
so
why we're
much.
going to have her here for another segment or two.
Yeah.
All right.
Susan.
Hang on then. Next on Studio Chatter, we'll talk about how this virus has changed our daily lives. That's coming right up.